Ren
There, try
had
it
lived
now.
on Rydia for most of his life.
I think
The
that's got
colony
it
was
tightened up
built on
for
a
you.
dusty,
Oh, perfect.
orange
That feels
planet
much
far
more
from
secure.
Earth. Giant machines worked day and night, pumping resources into the city. The streets were narrow and crowded with people, robots, and transport drones. Life was hard, but Ren had learned to manage. He had a small apartment near the edge of the colony where he lived with his 7-year-old son. Mika, Ren worked as a maintenance engineer, fixing machines and equipment for the city. It was not a glamorous job, but it paid enough to keep them safe and fed. Ren woke up every morning before sunrise. The colony's artificial sun glowed orange through the thin windows of their apartment. Mika was still asleep, wrapped in a small blanket. Ren prepared a simple breakfast of nutrient bars and protein drinks. He had trained himself to be efficient, waking, eating, and leaving the apartment all in less than 30 minutes. He had no time to waste. The colony did not forgive delays. As Ren prepared to leave for work, he noticed something unusual outside the window. A new building across the street had a moving shadow. A woman in a strange wheelchair had just arrived. The wheelchair was sleek and floating slightly above the ground, its small engines keeping it steady. She looked small and fragile, yet there was a determined look on her face. Ren had never seen her before. People in the colony rarely stayed in one place long, but someone like her, with advanced technology, was rare. Ryan grabbed his bag and went outside. The streets were alive with noise. Drones buzzed overhead, delivering goods. Children ran between people and machines, their laughter mixing with the hum of engines. Ren's eyes were drawn to the woman as she struggled to move a large crate toward the entrance of her building. She pushed her wheelchair with effort, her hands gripping the controls tightly. She seemed exhausted, and the crate was too heavy for her alone. Without thinking, Ren walked over. "Do you need help with that?" he asked. The woman looked up, surprised. Her dark eyes studied him carefully. Yes, please," she said. Her voice was calm but tired. Ren noticed that her hands had faint scars, and her posture suggested she had been injured before. Ren lifted the crate easily and carried it into the building for her. She followed in her wheelchair, maneuvering around obstacles with careful precision. "Thank you," she said softly as Ren set the crate down. "I'm Ren," he said. "I live nearby. I can help if you need." "I'm Mara," she replied. "I appreciate it." Over the next few days, Ren found himself noticing Mara more often. She was quiet but always polite. Sometimes she would be struggling with carrying supplies or fixing her wheelchair. Ren offered help whenever he could, even taking time after his shifts to make small repairs to her wheelchair systems. Mara never asked for much. She seemed independent, but Ren could tell that she had limitations she could not overcome alone. Mika, Ren's son, was curious about Mara. One afternoon, he followed Ren when he went to deliver a spare part for Mara's wheelchair. Mika had never seen anyone with such advanced technology up close. The wheelchair hovered slightly above the ground, its engines glowing blue. "Dad, is she a robot?" Mika asked innocently. "No," Ren said, smiling. "She is human, like us. Just different. She had some accidents. That's all." Mika watched as Ren helped Mara lift a heavy toolbox. Mara smiled at Mika and gave him a small wave. Ren felt a strange warmth seeing the two of them interact. He had not realized how isolated his little family had become. Helping Mara brought a sense of purpose beyond work and survival. Days turned into weeks. Ren's help became part of the routine. Every morning, he would check if Mara needed anything, and every evening, he would bring her extra supplies from the colony's markets. In return, Mara offered Ren advice on repairing advanced equipment and sometimes even small gifts of food or energy modules. Their interactions were quiet but meaningful. Mara rarely spoke about herself, her past, or why she had come to Rydia. Ren did not press. He knew people had reasons for keeping secrets. One afternoon, the colony experienced a sudden sandstorm. Winds howled, and dust filled the streets. Many people stayed indoors, but Ren knew Mara's building was exposed. He rushed to her apartment with Mika, carrying extra shields and repair tools. When they arrived, Mara was struggling to secure her windows and equipment. Ren helped her fasten the panels and stabilize the floating wheelchair. "Thank you," Mara said, her voice barely audible over the wind. "I could not have managed alone." "You do not have to face this alone," Ren said firmly. He could not explain why, but he felt protective of her. It was not just kindness. It was a deep sense of duty. After the storm passed, Ren and Mara sat together on the small balcony of her building. The sky cleared, revealing the twin moons of Iridia glowing softly. Mara looked at Ren with a thoughtful expression. "You are very persistent," she said. "Most people would have given up helping me by now." Ren smiled faintly. "I do not give up easily. Not when it matters." Mika ran around their feet, excited by the remnants of the storm. He loved playing with the dust and sand, pretending he was a space explorer. Mara watched him quietly, a small smile forming on her lips. Ren noticed it and felt a sense of relief. Mara had been through hardships, yet there was still kindness and curiosity left in her. Weeks passed, and the bond between Ren and Mara grew. Ren repaired her wheelchair, helped her navigate the colony, and brought small gifts for Mika. Mara slowly began to open up, sharing small stories about places she had seen, technology she had worked on, and people she remembered. She never revealed too much, but Ren learned to read her subtle expressions and quiet trust. One evening, Ren returned from work to find Mara waiting outside her building. "Ren, can you help me with something special?" she asked. Ren nodded, curious. Mara guided her wheelchair to a small rooftop overlooking the colony. She pointed to a section of the horizon where the machines worked tirelessly, extracting resources from the red soil. "This place. It is harsh," Mara said softly, "but there is beauty too. The people, the machines, the sky. You have found a way to live here, even with challenges." Ren nodded. "It is not easy, but we manage. You can too. You are stronger than you think." Mara looked at him, her eyes reflecting the glow of the colony lights. For the first time, Ren thought he saw a hint of something deeper in her gaze. Recognition, memory, or maybe something lost long ago? He could not be sure. That night, as Ren and Mika returned home, Ren felt a quiet satisfaction. Helping Mara had become more than a duty. It was a connection, a bridge between two people from different pasts, both trying to survive in a harsh world. Ren did not know what the future held, but he knew that his simple acts of kindness were making a difference. Little did Ren know. Mara's presence in the colony was not random. She carried memories from a past mission, a past he had tried to forget. And soon, the quiet moments of helping and friendship would lead to a revelation that would change everything. He thought he knew about the woman in the wheelchair. For now, Ren focused on the present. He helped, he cared, and he remained patient. That was enough for today. That was enough for tomorrow. And in the quiet, dusty streets of Iridia, small acts of kindness began to light a spark that could grow into something extraordinary. Life on Iridia was never simple. The colony thrived in the harsh environment because people adapted. Machines hummed constantly, and workers moved with efficiency. For Ren, each day began before the first glow of the artificial sun and ended long after the last drone returned to its charging station. Yet, in the midst of his busy schedule, Ren continued to help Mara. Ren had begun noticing small details about Mara. She never complained, even when the terrain was rough. She had an alert mind, quickly understanding complex machinery, and she approached every challenge with calm determination. Sometimes, Ren wondered how someone could endure such hardships and still retain that quiet strength. He admired her silently, though he never said it aloud. One morning, Ren prepared Mika for school while checking the city streets. He always left extra supplies in case Mara needed them. Today, he found her struggling with a heavy crate outside her building. The crate contained a new set of energy cells she had ordered. The wind from Iridia's open streets made moving the crate dangerous. "Need help?" Ren asked. Mara looked up, her eyes showing relief. "Yes, please," she said. Ren lifted the crate and adjusted it on her balcony platform. Mika watched, fascinated, as his father moved the heavy load with ease. "You always help her, Dad," Mika said, curiosity shining in his young eyes. "Why?" Ren paused, thinking. "Because she needs it." he said simply. And because it is the right thing to do. Mika nodded slowly. He did not fully understand, but he trusted his father. Rin had always been fair and kind, and Mika learned by example. After the crate was secure, Rin noticed Mara fiddling with her wheelchair controls. Something wrong? He asked. Yes, Mara admitted. One of the stabilizers is damaged. I cannot control the hover properly when it is heavy. Rin knelt beside her and inspected the wheelchair. Advanced technology and delicate systems were combined with human care in her machine. He carefully adjusted circuits and replaced worn components. Mara observed closely, asking questions about the adjustments. Rin realized she was not helpless. She understood the mechanics, but could not physically repair them herself. You have patience, Mara said quietly. Not many people would stop to explain while fixing the problem. It is simple. Rin replied with a smile. I like teaching Mika and helping others. Sometimes, the difference between giving up and continuing is only a few minutes of patience. Mara's lips curved into a faint smile. She did not speak much, but Rin felt her appreciation. Over the weeks, he learned that kindness could create connections even in a world that seemed cold and industrial. One day, the colony's central transport hub announced a shortage of supplies. The energy cells Mara needed would be delayed. She looked anxious, not for herself, but for her small research project. Rin offered to fetch alternative supplies from the market district. I can get what you need, he said. It may not be perfect, but it will work. Mara hesitated, her expression thoughtful. You do not need to, Rin. I can manage. Not this time, Rin said firmly. Let me do this. You help people every day. Let me help you now. Mara studied his face for a moment and then nodded. Rin prepared Mika for school and set out for the market. The streets were crowded, noisy, and full of danger. Hovercrafts zipped by, and the occasional machine malfunction sent sparks into the road. Rin moved carefully, carrying extra energy cells in a protective case. When he returned, Mara was waiting outside, her wheelchair ready. Thank you, she said softly. You make this easier than I expected. Rin shrugged. I have learned that helping is not always about strength. Sometimes, it is about showing up when needed. Over the next several days, Rin's routine continued. Each morning, he helped Mara with her tasks and sometimes repaired small malfunctions in her wheelchair. Mika became fond of Mara as well. He often brought her little gifts, simple toys made from old machine parts or colorful data crystals he found in school lessons. Mara accepted them politely, showing rare warmth in her quiet way, despite her calm exterior. Mara had moments of frustration. Some days, her systems failed more than usual, or she struggled to reach certain areas in the colony. Rin noticed that she did not ask for help immediately. She tried on her own first, often pushing herself too hard. Rin respected her determination, but he gently reminded her to accept help when needed. Even the strongest people need support, Rin said once while repairing her stabilizer. Mara nodded, her expression unreadable. Rin sensed a hint of something unspoken. Perhaps she had learned to rely only on herself for too long. One afternoon, Rin brought Mara to a small garden within the colony. It was one of the few green spaces left, filled with plants grown under artificial sunlight. Mika ran ahead, touching flowers and laughing at the gentle movement of robotic insects designed to pollinate. Mara observed quietly, taking in the colors and textures. Rin noticed her gaze linger on a small fountain, water sparkling under the sun. This place is nice, she said softly. It reminds me of older worlds, places before the hardships. Yes, Rin replied. It is calm here. That is why I like to bring Mika sometimes. You should come more often. It is good for the mind and the body. Mara nodded. I will consider it. During these visits, Rin began noticing small details that puzzled him. Occasionally, Mara would mention events or places that sounded familiar. We had to fix a hover module on a cold planet once, she said casually one day. Rin froze for a moment. The story sounded similar to a mission he had been part of years ago, but he did not mention it. Instead, he listened quietly, letting her speak. Despite the hints, Rin focused on the present. He enjoyed helping her, learning from her, and seeing Mika grow in curiosity and kindness. Every small act of care built trust between them. Mara began to share small personal stories, though she never revealed her full past. Rin respected her privacy, understanding that trust was earned slowly. One evening, as the colony lights flickered on, Rin brought extra supplies to Mara's apartment. She had prepared a small dinner for him and Mika, a simple meal with nutrient bread and fruit packs. They ate together in the glow of the balcony lights, Mika chattering about school and colony events. Mara listened with quiet attention, occasionally smiling. "You are patient with him," she said. Referring to Mika, "Not many adults take the time to truly listen to children," Rin shrugged. "He is my world. I want him to grow knowing kindness and responsibility. That is more important than anything else." Mara looked at him, her gaze lingering on Rin's face. There was an unspoken understanding, a quiet respect. She had faced many challenges in her life, yet here was someone who gave without expecting anything in return. It was a rare and precious quality. As the weeks passed, their bond strengthened. Rin continued to help Mara navigate the streets, repair her wheelchair, and manage daily life. Mara began to rely on him more, trusting him in ways she had not trusted anyone before. Rin felt a growing sense of purpose, beyond work or survival. He was creating a connection, building a small community of care and trust in a world that often seemed harsh and uncaring. One day, while helping Mara lift a heavy container of water supplies, Rin noticed a small emblem on her cybernetic arm. It was a symbol he had seen years ago, during a mission on a distant frontier planet. His heart skipped a beat, but he did not say anything. Instead, he adjusted the controls on her wheelchair, focusing on the task at hand. Mara looked at him curiously. "What is it?" she asked. "Nothing," Rin said quickly. "Just a repair." He could not place the feeling exactly, but something about the emblem seemed familiar. He decided to watch carefully to learn more before asking questions. For now, helping Mara and watching her regain confidence was enough. At night, Rin returned home with Mika, tired but satisfied. The city lights glowed softly through the dust-filled air. Rin thought about the days spent helping Mara, the quiet smiles, and small conversations. He realized that kindness had a ripple effect. Every action, no matter how small, could change someone's life. Mara had entered his life quietly, but she had brought something new, an opportunity to connect, to teach, and to learn. Rin did not know the full story behind her rival, but he felt that their paths had crossed for a reason. He vowed to continue helping, to continue caring, and to remain patient. In a world of harsh realities, small acts of friendship and trust were more powerful than any machine or weapon. Rin looked at Mika sleeping in his bed that night. He felt hope, not just for his son, but for the bond forming with Mara. In the coming days, challenges would arise, and secrets from the past might surface. But for now, Rin focused on the present, on kindness, and on building a small but meaningful world of care within the busy, industrial streets of Rydia. And Mara, quietly observing the world from her hovering wheelchair, began to feel that for the first time in years, she was not alone. Rin had begun to notice small, strange details about Mara. She was quiet most of the time, yet she had moments when her expression changed, almost as if she remembered something long forgotten. Rin watched her closely but never asked too many questions. He had learned that people carried memories carefully, and pressing too hard could break the trust that had taken weeks to build. One morning, Rin arrived at Mara's building with Mika, carrying extra parts for her wheelchair. The streets were alive with the usual bustle. Hovercrafts zipped through the lanes, and delivery drones buzzed overhead. Mara was already outside, trying to navigate a steep incline. Her wheelchair's hover system wavered, and she gripped the controls tightly. "Hold on," Rin said. Rushing forward, he grabbed the handles of her wheelchair and steadied it. "Careful. This slope is tricky today." Mara looked at him, grateful, but her eyes seemed distant. Rin noticed a small twitch in her left hand, the one not controlling the wheelchair. It was subtle, but it reminded him of something he had seen before. He pushed the thought aside for the moment, focusing on helping her safely to flat ground. "Thanks." Rin, Mara said softly once she was steady. I would have managed eventually, but you make it easier, Rin nodded. I like making things easier. Life is hard enough without extra obstacles. Over the next few days, Rin began noticing other small signs. Mara sometimes spoke of events or locations that seemed familiar to him, but he could not place them exactly. One evening, she mentioned a distant planet where the skies were green and the winds were strong. She described a mission involving heavy machinery and a team stranded during a storm. Rin's heart skipped a beat. The story sounded almost identical to a mission he had served on years ago in the Frontier Wars. He remained quiet. He did not want to alarm her or risk saying the wrong thing. But the memory stayed with him. The mission had been dangerous. A team of engineers and soldiers had been trapped on an uncharted world. Rin had managed to rescue them, but not without consequences. Some had been injured. One had disappeared. He watched Mara carefully over the next few days. She seemed skilled, confident, yet there were moments when she hesitated as if recalling something she had buried deep inside. Her wheelchair sometimes required delicate repairs that went beyond normal maintenance. Rin found himself not only fixing the systems but observing her reactions. When he adjusted a circuit or repaired a stabilizer, Mara would occasionally glance at him with a flicker of recognition. Though she did not speak about it, Mika, as usual, was curious about everything. One afternoon, he noticed a small emblem on Mara's wheelchair. It was a faint symbol etched near the control panel. Mika pointed to it. What is that? He asked. Ryan glanced at it, his stomach tightening. It was the same emblem he had seen on that Frontier mission years ago. It is a marking, he said carefully, a symbol from some older systems. Nothing dangerous. Mara's eyes followed his glance toward the emblem. She did not comment. Rin sensed that she knew it had significance, but she chose not to reveal it. He felt a quiet tension building in the background of their friendship. Something was waiting to be discovered. One day, Mara invited Rin and Mika to help her with a project in her apartment. She had been experimenting with energy modules and mobility enhancements for months. Rin noticed that the technology she used was advanced and unfamiliar. It was not part of the colony's standard systems. She worked with precision, adjusting circuits, monitoring energy outputs, and calibrating hover mechanisms. You are very good at this, Rin said, impressed. How did you learn? I have experience, Mara said quietly. She paused, then added, I have worked on difficult projects before, in places where mistakes could be costly. Rin nodded. He had seen the hint of seriousness in her eyes. I understand, he said. I have been in situations like that too. It changes a person. Mara looked away for a moment. Rin felt there was a story behind her words, one she was not ready to tell. Still, the trust between them had grown enough that he felt honored to be allowed into this part of her life, even if only as a helper. Over the next week, Rin started noticing patterns. Certain phrases Mara used, certain tools she preferred, and the precise way she handled machinery all pointed to a professional history he vaguely recognized. Yet, he could not quite place it. It was as if she had been trained for situations far beyond the normal life of the colony. One evening, after work, Rin decided to help Mara organize a storage area in her apartment. There were old crates filled with tools, cables, and energy modules. As Rin lifted a heavy crate, he noticed a small container marked with the same emblem he had seen before. He opened it carefully and found worn equipment, scratched and repaired many times. Each piece looked like it had survived harsh conditions, the kind only someone with field experience could endure. Mara watched him closely. Those are old tools, she said softly. I keep them because they still work. Sometimes, old tools are better than new ones. Rin studied her for a moment. They look like mission equipment, very specialized. Mara remained silent. Rin sensed a barrier. She was willing to show him her work, her skills, even her vulnerabilities. But some memories were still locked away. He respected her space. That night, as Rin returned home with Mika, he could not stop thinking. Could Mara have been part of his past? The thought seemed impossible, yet every small detail pointed in that direction. The emblem, her skills, the stories she told. and even the way she carried herself, it all matched fragments of memories Ren had long tried to forget. The next morning, Ren visited Mara again. He wanted to continue helping, but he also wanted to observe. She had a calm presence, yet her eyes occasionally betrayed a flicker of past experiences. Ren noticed her pause when she worked on certain circuits, as if remembering a time when failure could have meant serious harm. He realized that Mara's calm exterior hid a story of endurance, courage, and survival. "You seem very capable," Ren said casually. "Even better than most engineers here." Mara glanced at him briefly. "I have had unusual experiences," she said quietly. "Unusual?" Ren asked, careful not to push too hard. "Yes," she replied. "Experiences that shape me differently from most people. Sometimes it is easier to keep them private," Ren nodded. He did not press. He understood. Everyone had parts of their life they could not share easily. His duty was to help her in the present, to build trust, and to offer support. Days passed, and Ren continued his routine. Helping Mara had become a rhythm in his life, and he noticed changes in her. She smiled more often, laughed softly when Mika played, and even offered to help Ren with repairs in the colony. The trust between them grew deeper, though the mystery of her past remained. One evening, Ren helped Mara prepare a set of advanced energy modules for a demonstration in the colony. As he worked, he noticed subtle signs of memory in her eyes. Her hands trembled slightly when she connected a delicate circuit. Ren steadied them, careful not to alarm her. "You are cautious," Ren observed. "Something on your mind?" Mara paused. "I remember parts of it," she admitted softly. "Sometimes memories come back when I work with this technology. They are not complete, but they remind me of who I was before." Ren felt a chill. Could she be part of the team from his old mission? He decided to wait. The time for questions had not yet come. For now, he would continue helping her and building the connection that had grown between them. Evenings on radio were quiet, except for the soft hum of machines. Ren often returned home reflecting on the day. He realized that kindness and trust could create bridges across time and memory. Mara had entered his life quietly, but she had already changed it. Her presence reminded him that survival was not only about machines and tools. It was about human connection, care, and persistence. One night, after Ren and Mika had eaten their simple dinner, Ren looked at the city skyline. The glowing machines, the buzzing drones, and the busy streets seemed harsh and mechanical. Yet he felt hope. Small acts of kindness, like helping Mara, had the power to make life better. Mara, meanwhile, sat by her balcony, her wheelchair hovering slightly above the floor. She gazed at the horizon, thinking of memories that were hazy and fragmented. The presence of Ren and Mika brought a sense of comfort she had not felt in years. Yet, beneath the calm, there was a tension, a question waiting to be answered. Would Ren recognize her past when the time came? In the following days, small signs continued to emerge. Mara sometimes mentioned locations, missions, or tools that triggered faint memories in Ren. He listened carefully, noting every detail, but he never mentioned the connection directly. For now, their friendship was enough. For now, Ren focused on helping Mara navigate life, repair her wheelchair, and regain confidence in a world that was often harsh and unforgiving. The signs of her past were becoming more obvious, but Ren remained patient. He knew that when the time was right, the truth would reveal itself. Until then, he would continue his daily routines, his small acts of kindness, and his quiet support. Mara had come into his life for a reason, and he would honor that reason by being there for her, no matter what challenges lay ahead. And somewhere in Mara's mind, the fragments of memory began to align. Faces, events, and experiences from a distant past whispered softly, preparing for the moment when the truth would finally be revealed. The colony on Rydia was quieter than usual that morning. The twin moons hung low in the orange sky, casting a soft glow over the streets. Ren had risen early, as usual, preparing Mika for school and gathering supplies to help Mara with her wheelchair. It had become part of his routine, almost like breathing, essential, natural, and quietly rewarding. As Ren stepped outside, he noticed Mara waiting near her building. She looked different today, not in appearance, but in the way she held herself. There was a tension, a quiet intensity in her eyes that Ren had not seen before. Her wheelchair hovered steadily, the engines glowing faintly. She was calm, yet Ren sensed anticipation. "Good morning, Mara," Ren said, offering a friendly smile. "Ready for today?" Mara nodded, but her gaze lingered on him. "I need your help with something," she said quietly. "Something important." Ren raised an eyebrow. "Of course. What do you need?" Mara gestured toward a narrow alleyway beside her building. "There is a storage unit there. Some equipment has been left behind for repairs. It is sensitive. I cannot handle it alone." Ren nodded, picking up Mika's hand to lead him alongside. "Let's do this together. Nothing we cannot handle." The walk to the alley was filled with the usual sounds of the colony. Hovercrafts buzzed above, delivery drones passed by, and people moved with purpose through the narrow streets. Yet Ren could feel Mara's quiet focus. Every movement she made seemed deliberate, controlled, and careful. There was a precision in her gestures that suggested experience far beyond the ordinary life of the colony. When they reached the storage unit, Ren saw the equipment Mara had mentioned. Small crates lined the floor, filled with devices that looked advanced and delicate. One of them had the same emblem he had noticed before, the symbol that had triggered the faint memories of his past mission. His heart beat faster, but he forced himself to remain calm. "Start with the first crate," Mara instructed. "It contains sensors that need careful calibration. I will guide you." Ren knelt beside the crate and began working, following her instructions carefully. Mika sat nearby, watching with wide eyes as his father and Mara handled the delicate devices. Ren realized that Mara's knowledge of the equipment was not just skill, it was instinct. She knew how to manage complex technology in ways that only someone trained in extreme conditions could dot. As they worked, Mara spoke softly, explaining the function of each device. "These sensors were used for exploration," she said. "They detect environmental changes, monitor energy fields, and provide real-time feedback in hazardous conditions." Ren listened, intrigued. "Where did you learn all of this?" Mara paused for a moment, her eyes meeting his. "I have experience," she said. "Some things I cannot forget, even if I wanted to." Ren felt a chill. The words, the voice, the presence, it all seemed familiar. The pieces were beginning to fit together in his mind. Yet he did not speak. He continued following her instructions, careful not to reveal the recognition that was forming within him. Hours passed as they worked. Ren handled the delicate devices, adjusting circuits, connecting energy modules, and ensuring stability. Mara hovered nearby, offering guidance and corrections. Mika played with small mechanical toys, oblivious to the tension building in the air. Finally, they finished with the last crate. Mara leaned back in her wheelchair, taking a deep breath. "Thank you, Ren," she said quietly. "I could not have done this without you." Ren smiled faintly. "I am always happy to help," he replied, though his mind was racing. Every detail of Mara's actions, her calm efficiency, and her knowledge of the devices matched memories Ren had long buried. He could no longer ignore the truth. "Mara," Ren said carefully, his voice low. "There is something I need to ask." She looked at him, curious but calm. "What is it?" Ren took a deep breath. "The emblem on your equipment. The stories you've told. The way you handle technology. Have you been part of the frontier missions?" Mara's eyes widened slightly. She studied him for a long moment, her lips pressed together. Finally, she nodded slowly. "Yes," she admitted. "I was part of a team. Many years ago." Ren felt a surge of recognition. His chest tightened as memories he had tried to forget resurfaced. The mission, the team stranded on a distant planet, the dangers, the losses, everything came rushing back. "Mara," he whispered, "you were on that mission. I remember. I remember now." Tears welled up in Mara's eyes, though she quickly blinked them away. I thought you would not remember me," she said softly. "After all this time." Ren knelt beside her wheelchair, looking directly into her eyes. "I do remember," he said firmly. "You were there. I helped you and the others survive. You were injured. You lost much, but you survived. I never forgot." Mara's expression shifted from surprise to relief. She had carried the weight of lost memories and uncertainty for years, and now the truth was finally recognized. "I thought I was alone," she said quietly. "I thought no one would remember me. I never imagined meeting you again." "You were never alone," Rin said gently. "Even when we were separated, I thought about the team. I thought about what happened. I never forgot anyone. And now, here we are." Mika, sensing the seriousness of the moment, came closer and looked up at them. "Mom?" he asked innocently. Rin smiled, realizing that Mika's presence was a reminder of life continuing despite hardships. Mara looked at Rin and then at Mika. "Not exactly," she said with a soft laugh. "But you have grown." "He reminds me of hope," Rin nodded. The moment was filled with quiet emotion. The past had returned, not as a burden, but as a bridge connecting them. The months of helping, repairing, and supporting had built a foundation strong enough to face the truth. After a long pause, Mara spoke again. "I came to Rydia because I wanted a fresh start. I wanted to continue my work without the weight of the past. But meeting you again, it changes everything." Rin reached out and placed a hand on hers. "We cannot change the past," he said, "but we can choose how to move forward. Together, we can face challenges, help others, and build something better. You do not have to carry it alone anymore." Mara's eyes shone with gratitude. She had spent years surviving, hiding, and adapting. Now, she felt a sense of relief she had never known. Rin's kindness, patience, and understanding had created a safe space for her to be herself. In the following days, Rin, Mara, and Mika spent more time together, rebuilding their connection. Mara shared stories of her missions, her experiences, and the challenges she had faced. Rin listened, offering guidance, support, and occasional laughter. Mika loved hearing the stories, even if some were difficult to understand. The colony began to notice the trio's presence. People whispered about the single father, the skilled woman in the wheelchair, and the young boy who carried curiosity in his eyes. Their bond became an example of human strength, resilience, and cooperation. In a world dominated by machines and survival, they were proof that kindness and connection were powerful forces. One afternoon, Rin and Mara worked on improving the wheelchair systems further. Mara demonstrated advanced techniques that Rin had never seen before. "I learned these methods during missions," she explained. "They are not common, but they help in extreme conditions." Rin nodded, impressed. "You have incredible skill. I am glad you are here now, sharing it with me and Mika." Mara smiled. "I am glad too. I thought I had lost everything from the past, but you helped me remember that trust and kindness still exist. That is more valuable than anything I lost." As evening approached, the city lights began to glow. Rin, Mara, and Mika walked through the colony streets together, the soft hum of machines surrounding them. The air smelled of metal and energy, yet there was a quiet beauty in the rhythm of life around them. Rin glanced at Mara. "We have a chance to do something good here," he said. "To help people, improve lives, and make the colony better. And we can do it together." Mara nodded. "Yes, together," she agreed. That night, Rin returned home with Mika. He felt a sense of fulfillment he had never experienced before. Mara's presence, once a quiet mystery, had become a source of hope, connection, and purpose. The revelation of her past no longer felt like a burden. It was a reminder of courage, resilience, and the human spirit's ability to endure. Mara, meanwhile, sat by her balcony, watching the glowing city below. She felt a quiet sense of belonging she had not known in years. Rin had not only remembered her past, but he had also created a space for her to be herself, to grow, and to continue making a difference. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, Mara felt ready to face it. With Rin and Mika by her side, she knew that together they could overcome any challenge. And in the heart of the dusty, industrial colony of Rydia, a story of reunion, courage, and hope began to unfold. The days after the revelation were filled with a quiet, steady rhythm. Rin, Mara, and Mika had settled into a new understanding. The past, once hidden and fragmented, had finally surfaced, but it no longer carried fear or uncertainty. Instead, it had become a bridge connecting them. Rin felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever. Helping Mara was no longer just an act of kindness. It was part of building a life together, a life full of hope and meaning. Mara, for her part, embraced the support and friendship Rin offered. She had survived dangerous missions, lost parts of herself in harsh conditions, and adapted to life with injuries that had changed her forever. Yet, Rin's quiet patience and unwavering care had reminded her of something she had almost forgotten: the importance of trust, compassion, and community. One morning, Rin and Mara prepared Mika for school together. Mika was excited, chattering about friends, lessons, and new toys he had made from small mechanical parts. Mara smiled softly as she watched him. She had never spent much time with children before, but she found herself enjoying Mika's curiosity and energy. "You are very patient with him," Mara said quietly. Rin smiled. "He is my world. I want him to grow with kindness and courage." "You help him too, Mara, just by being here." Mara nodded, feeling warmth she had not experienced in years. She realized that the small family they were forming was more valuable than any technology, any mission, or any achievement from the past. After school, Mika often accompanied Rin and Mara on errands through the colony. Together, they visited the markets, repaired equipment, and explored the quieter parts of Iridia. Mara's wheelchair, now upgraded with Rin's help and her own expertise, moved smoothly across the uneven streets. The hovering engines adjusted seamlessly to slopes, obstacles, and rough terrain. Rin admired her skill, while Mara appreciated his steady support. One afternoon, they discovered a small, neglected park in the heart of the colony. The artificial sunlight flickered through the transparent dome, casting gentle shadows on the soil. The park had a few withered plants and a small fountain that no longer worked. Rin and Mara decided to restore it. "We can make this place beautiful again," Rin said as he lifted a crate of soil and tools. Mara smiled. "It will take time, but it is worth it. Places like this remind people of hope." Mika ran ahead, digging in the soil and scattering seeds with innocent enthusiasm. Rin and Mara worked side by side, adjusting sprinklers, planting flowers, and repairing the fountain. Mara's technical expertise combined with Rin's practical skills created a smooth, efficient process. The park slowly transformed, the once withered plants showing signs of life. As they worked, Mara spoke about her missions and experiences, sharing stories with careful detail. She told Rin and Mika about how her team had worked together, the challenges they faced, and the lessons she had learned. Rin listened, impressed not just by her skill but by her resilience and wisdom. Mika, fascinated, asked questions with wide-eyed curiosity. "You faced many dangers," Mika said. "Were you ever scared?" Mara laughed softly. "Of course. Everyone feels fear. The important thing is what you do despite it. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act even when you are afraid." Rin felt a quiet pride. He realized that Mara was teaching Mika something important, lessons not found in school books or colony manuals. She was teaching him about resilience, courage, and humanity. Weeks passed, and the trio continued to strengthen their bond. The colony began to notice the impact of their presence. People admired Rin's kindness, Mara's skill, and Mika's curiosity. Those who needed help found comfort in knowing that there were people willing to care, to repair, and to guide. Rin and Mara quietly became leaders of compassion and cooperation. One evening, Rin, Mara, and Mika returned to the small park. The flowers bloomed brightly under the artificial sunlight, and the fountain flowed steadily. The park, once neglected, had become a place of life and energy. Mara looked around, a small smile on her lips. "This is beautiful," she said softly. "It feels alive." Rin nodded. "It is. And it reminds us that even in a harsh world, we can create places of hope. Small actions can grow into something bigger." Mara reached out and held Rin's hand briefly. "You have taught me that trust and kindness matter more than anything." "That is something I almost forgot." Rin squeezed her hand. "We all need reminders sometimes." "You are not alone anymore, Mara. Not ever." As the days turned into weeks, Rin and Mara worked together on new projects. They repaired old colony equipment, upgraded mobility devices for people with challenges, and assisted with energy systems that powered the city. Their efforts were not glamorous, but they were essential. The colony grew stronger, more connected, and more hopeful because of them. Mara's skills became widely recognized. She began mentoring young engineers and technicians, sharing her knowledge and experience. Rin assisted her, offering practical advice and guidance. Mika often joined them, learning through observation, play, and small experiments. The trio became an inseparable unit, each contributing in their own way to the growth of the colony. One evening, as Rin repaired a hover platform and Mara monitored its energy systems, Mika ran to them with excitement. "Look," he shouted. "The flowers in the park are growing taller. They are so bright." Mara smiled, placing a hand on Mika's shoulder. "That is because we took care of them," she said. "And because you planted them with hope and care," Rin nodded. "Even small actions make a big difference. Never forget that." The park had become a symbol of what they could achieve together. Life on Rydia was still harsh, but Rin, Mara, and Mika had built a world of their own, within it a world where kindness, courage, and trust mattered more than machines, obstacles, or hardships. Mara, once isolated and uncertain, now felt a sense of belonging she had never known. Rin, who had only sought to survive and care for Mika, had found a partner, a friend, and an ally. And Mika, the young boy with endless curiosity, grew up surrounded by examples of strength, compassion, and resilience. One afternoon, Rin and Mara prepared to teach a small class of young colony residents about technology and teamwork. They explained how energy modules worked, how hover devices operated, and how small acts of care could improve lives. The children listened with fascination, asking questions and experimenting under careful supervision. Rin and Mara encouraged their curiosity, teaching not only technical skills, but also the value of patience, persistence, and empathy. The lessons were simple but profound. Mara shared stories of courage and teamwork from her past missions. Rin emphasized responsibility and kindness. Together, they showed that even in a challenging world, humans could thrive when they supported one another. That evening, Rin, Mara, and Mika returned to their apartment, tired but fulfilled. The city lights glowed softly, reflecting off the metallic buildings and dust-filled streets. Rin looked at Mara and Mika, feeling a quiet sense of peace. "We have built something good," Rin said softly. "Not just for ourselves, but for others too." Mara nodded. "Yes, and it is just the beginning. There is so much we can do." Mika yawned, leaning against Mara's wheelchair. "Can we plant more flowers tomorrow?" he asked sleepily. "Of course," Rin said, smiling. "We can do it together." That night, Rin watched the stars through the small window in their apartment. The twin moons of Rydia shone softly, a reminder of the vast universe beyond their colony. Yet Rin felt that home was not just a place, it was the people who cared, supported, and trusted one another. Mara and Mika were his family now, and together, they would face whatever challenges came next. Mara, sitting quietly beside him, felt the same. She had survived, endured, and adapted for years. But now, she realized that true strength was not just about survival. It was about connection, trust, and building a life worth living. With Rin and Mika, she had found that strength, and it filled her with hope. Days turned into months. The park flourished, the colony grew stronger, and the trio continued their work. Their reputation as helpers, guides, and mentors spread quietly but steadily. People began to seek their assistance, not only for repairs or guidance, but for the reassurance that someone cared. Rin and Mara had created more than a family, they had created a ripple of hope that touched the lives of many. One evening, as the colony lights reflected off the metallic streets, Rin looked at Mara and Mika. He realized that life on Rydia, though harsh and challenging, was beautiful because of the bonds they shared. Together, they had faced the past, embraced the present, and prepared for the future. Mara smiled, holding Rin's hand briefly. "Thank you," she said softly, "for helping me, for trusting me, and for being here." Rin shook his head gently. No, Mara, thank you. You taught me patience, trust, and hope. You reminded me why we help one another. That is more important than anything. Mika yawned again, resting against Mara's wheelchair. Can we explore the stars someday? He asked sleepily. Rin laughed softly. Yes, we will. But first, we make our world here the best it can be. And so, life continued on Rydia. The colony remained a harsh, industrial place, yet within it, a story of human courage, kindness, and perseverance unfolded. Rin, Mara, and Mika faced challenges together, strengthened by trust and care. The past had been acknowledged, the present cherished, and the future full of hope. In the quiet streets, under the glow of artificial sunlight and the twin moons above,